नमस्कार, मैं हूँ राजश्री आपके साथ और इंडिया लीगल में बहुत स्वागत है आपका। आज एक बेहद अहम मसले के साथ आपके सामने हाजिर हूँ। वक्त के साथ बहुत सारी चीज़ें बदल जाती हैं, ऐसे में आज देश की न्यायिक प्रणाली में भी बदलाव की सख्त ज़रूरत महसूस की जा रही है। देश की न्यायिक प्रणाली 100 साल से भी ज़्यादा पुरानी हो चुकी है। ज़्यादातर कानून ब्रिटिश ज़माने के बनाए गए हैं। भारतीय न्यायिक प्रणाली अंग्रेज़ों ने औपनिवेशिक शासन के दौरान बनाई थी। इसको आम कानून व्यवस्था के रूप में जाना जाता है, जिसमें न्यायाधीश अपने फैसलों, आदेशों और निर्णयों से कानून का विकास करते हैं। कुछ कानून तो उससे भी ज़्यादा पुराने हैं। 28 जनवरी 1950 को भारत में सुप्रीम कोर्ट जब अस्तित्व में आया, उसके आने पर भारत में औपनिवेशिक शासन के दौरान की सुप्रीम न्यायिक प्रणाली के न्यायिक समिति की प्रिवी काउंसिल और संघीय अदालत खत्म हुए और कहते हैं कि कानून समाज का आईना होता है। ऐसे में बदलते वक्त के साथ कानून को जिस तरह से बदलना चाहिए, ये वैसे नहीं बदल पाया। आज भी पुराने कानून न्याय संहिता में वैसे हैं और हाल के सालों में सरकार ने करीब 1200 कानून को हटाया, लेकिन अभी भी फेरबदल की काफ़ी आवश्यकता है, और जिसको कहा जाता है कि न्यायपालिका में कहीं आमूल चूल यानी नीचे से ऊपर तक बहुत कुछ बदल देने की ज़रूरत है। वैसे ये ज़रूरी भी है जिससे कि आम आदमी का न्यायपालिका और कानूनी व्यवस्था में विश्वास न टूटे और न्याय सबके लिए सुलभ हो सके, सहज हो सके। एक्सेस टू जस्टिस जो है वो इसकी जो कल्पना है वो पूरी हो सके। बेवजह कानून के जाल में आम आदमी न फंसे, इसके लिए भी ज़रूरी है कि कानूनी प्रक्रिया में बदलाव किए जाएं। आपराधिक कानून की यदि हम बात करें तो आपराधिक कानून में बदलाव की सबसे ज़्यादा ज़रूरत है। निर्भया केस एक उदाहरण है। निर्भया के दोषियों को फांसी के फंदे तक पहुंचाने में 7 साल से ज़्यादा का समय लगा। अंत तक क्यूरेटिव पिटीशन डाले गए। ये मामला एक नज़ीर है जिसमें न्याय में देरी की जिम्मेदार न्याय प्रदान प्रणाली या जस्टिस डिलीवरी सिस्टम की खामियां उजागर हुई हैं। कहा तो जाता है कि न्याय के घर देर है पर अंधेर नहीं, लेकिन ये भी सही है कि देर से मिला न्याय न्याय नहीं रह जाता। उच्चतम न्यायालय की संवैधानिक पीठ ने पी रामचंद्र राव बनाम कर्नाटक मामले में और हुसैन आरा मामले की इस बात को दोहराया और कहा कि जल्द न्याय प्रदान करना राज्य का संवैधानिक दायित्व है, लेकिन सिर्फ पुराने कानून या न्याय में देर का ही मसला अभी नहीं है। न्याय प्रणाली में निहित कई अंतर्विरोध हैं, कई खामियां हैं जो न्याय तक पहुंच के या जिसकी बात मैं कर रही हूँ एक्सेस टू जस्टिस को कहीं ना कहीं कमज़ोर करता है। न्याय प्रणाली क्या अमीरों के हित के लिए काम करती है, जो बड़े वकील अदालत में खड़ा कर सके और तारीख पर तारीख ले सके? ऐसे में जो कमज़ोर पार्टी है वो क्या करेगी? क्या उसकी कमर नहीं टूट जाएगी? जनरलिटी ऑफ लॉज का भी एक बड़ा मसला है। सवाल ये भी है कि क्या कानून इतना सामान्य हो कि हर केस में लागू हो? अगर नाबालिग की उम्र की बात करें तो क्या बालिग होने के एक दिन पहले तक किया गया अपराध क्षम्य माना जाएगा? कानून को अगर वक्त वक्त पर अपग्रेड नहीं किया गया तो यह संगत भी हो जाता है। खासकर साइबर लॉ की हम बात करें तो यदि हमारे यहाँ नए कानूनों के लाने के प्रावधान नहीं रहे तो जाहिर सी बात है कि बहुत सारी ऐसी चुनौतियाँ हैं जिसका हम सामना नहीं कर पाएंगे। कई मामलों में जुर्माना अभी भी बहुत कम है। छोटे अपराध की यदि हम बात करें तो अभी भी जेल जाने का प्रावधान है। सत्ताधारी पार्टियों की अपनी विचारधारा होती है जिसके हिसाब से कानून बना दिए जाते हैं। हालिया उदाहरण अगर हम देखें तो सीएए, लव जिहाद, धर्मांतरण कानून, जनसंख्या कानून तमाम तरह के हैं। सत्ता बदलाव के साथ इन कानूनों में बदलाव की जिम्मेदारी भी लॉ कमीशन यानी और न्यायपालिका और विधायिका पर होती है और इसे अंजाम देना ज़रूरी हो जाता है। लेकिन कुल मिलाकर हम देखें तो हाल के दिनों में जिस तरह से विरोधी आवाज़ों को दबाने के लिए आतंकवाद विरोधी कानून और देशद्रोह कानून का इस्तेमाल किया जा रहा है, उसको लेकर अब चिंता भी होने लगी है। सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने भी चिंता जताई है। मिसकैरेज ऑफ जस्टिस की बात आ रही है। कोरोना काल में न्यायिक प्रणाली जिस तरह से बाधित थी उसे भी सुचारू करने के लिए ऑनलाइन हियरिंग का सहारा लिया गया, लेकिन डिजिटल डिवाइड के कारण न्याय प्रणाली प्रभावित हो रही है। हज़ारों वकील पेशे से बाहर आ गए हैं और मुवक्किल न्याय से महरूम हो रहे हैं। अब कुल मिलाकर ये समस्या इतनी गंभीर होती जा रही है कि एडीआर को भी एक सशक्त तरीका तो बनाया गया है, लेकिन उसके भी अंदर बहुत सारी खामियां हैं जिसे दूर करने की ज़रूरत है। यहाँ तक कि जजों की उम्र को लेकर भी, एज को लेकर भी, जजेज के एज को लेकर भी काफ़ी तरह की बातें हो रही हैं कि क्या उम्र बढ़ाने से इस तरह की जो एनोमलीज़ हैं, जो इस तरह की दिक्कतें हैं, वो दूर हो जाएंगी। जन अदालतों के जरिए न्याय की पहुंच बढ़ाने की कोशिश की जा रही है, लेकिन संसाधन की कमियां आड़े आ रही हैं। ये सारी बातें ऐसी हैं जो हमारी न्यायिक प्रणाली में, जुडिशियल सिस्टम में जो जो समस्या है उसकी ओर इशारा करती हैं। और आज हम चर्चा इसी पर करेंगे कि आखिर हमारी न्यायिक प्रणाली में कमियां क्या हैं, उसे दूर करने के उपाय क्या होने चाहिए और किस तरह से हम एक आदर्श जुडिशियल सिस्टम में प्रवेश कर सकते हैं। हाल फिलहाल में जस्टिस रविंद्रन ने अपने हालिया पुस्तक एनोमलीज ऑफ लॉ में इन सभी कमियों को बेहद संजीदगी के साथ उजागर किया है और उस पर भी हम बात करेंगे। लेकिन सबसे पहले एक रिपोर्ट दिखाती हूँ आपको और इसमें आप देख पाएंगे कि किस तरह से हमारी न्यायिक व्यवस्था में जिसको कहा जाए कि आमूलचूल सुधार की ज़रूरत है और वो कौन कौन से क्षेत्र हैं जहां पर सबसे ज़्यादा सुधार की उम्मीद हम कर सकते हैं, जो कि आने वाले दिनों की चुनौतियों का सामना हमारी न्यायिक व्यवस्था कर पाए। देखिए रिपोर्ट।
समाज हमेशा से परिवर्तनशील रहा है। सामाजिक बदलाव के अनुसार ही कानून को भी बदलने की जरूरत होती है। पुराने कानून में बदलाव करने और नए कानून बनाने के लिए ही जन प्रतिनिधियों को जनता संसद और विधानसभा में भेजती है। जन प्रतिनिधियों की ये नैतिक जिम्मेदारी है कि वे समाज की जरूरतों के मुताबिक कानून बनाएं। लेकिन कानून में अंतर विरोध भी है। कानून में कई कमियां भी है। कानून की व्याख्या कैसे हो, ये भी ग्रे है। आज कानून का दुरुपयोग भी हो रहा है। न्याय प्रक्रिया को अमीर अपने हिसाब से तोड़ मरोड़ सकते हैं। तमाम कमियां हैं। इसी के मद्देनजर क्रिमिनल कानून की व्यापक समीक्षा और पुनर्गठन के लिए केंद्र सरकार ने सभी राज्य सरकारों से सुझाव आमंत्रित किया है। केंद्र सरकार ने कानून को नागरिक केंद्रित बनाने के लिए आपराधिक कानून की समीक्षा करते हुए उसमें बदलाव की योजना तैयार की है। कानून को आधुनिक लोकतंत्र के अनुकूल बनाना है ताकि कमजोर वर्ग, महिलाओं, बच्चों आदि को त्वरित न्याय मिल सके। इसके अलावा कानूनी प्रक्रियाओं को सरल बनाने पर भी ध्यान देना जरूरी है ताकि आम आदमी के लिए जीवन यापन में आसानी हो। ब्यूरो रिपोर्ट।
तो आम आदमी तक कैसे न्यायिक व्यवस्था को बहुत आसानी से पहुंचाया जा सके, सबसे बड़ी चुनौती होती है और प्रजातंत्र की ताकत इसी में है कि आम आदमी तक न्यायिक प्रणाली की पहुंच हो। और इस पर बात करने के लिए हमारे साथ बेहद अहम पैनल जुड़ रहा है। हमारे साथ जस्टिस के.जी. बालाकृष्णन जुड़ रहे हैं, जो कि CJI रह चुके हैं। हमारे साथ जस्टिस रविंद्रन जुड़ रहे हैं, सुप्रीम कोर्ट के वरिष्ठ जज रह चुके हैं। जस्टिस सुदर्शन रेड्डी हमारे साथ जुड़ रहे हैं, जो कि सुप्रीम कोर्ट जज रह चुके हैं। और साथ ही हमारे साथ प्रोफेसर सूर्य प्रकाश राव जुड़ रहे हैं, वाइस चांसलर नेशनल लॉ यूनिवर्सिटी विशाखापट्टनम के। बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया आप सबों का मेरे इस कार्यक्रम में। सबसे पहले आई विल कम टू यू जस्टिस बालाकृष्णन। If we see, there exists multiplicity of laws, multiple enforcement authorities, which breeds non-compliances. How serious do you think? How serious is the need of rationalized law?
Good evening to all of you.
Sir.
My esteemed colleague Justice Ravindran, Sudarshan Reddy, and Professor Surya Prakash. And let me at the outset make use of this opportunity to congratulate Mr. Ravindran for having written a beautiful book. We are long awaiting a book on some interesting subjects on law, and that he has touched many interesting areas. It is worthy to be read. It is to be read and digested, and I take this opportunity to congratulate Justice Ravindran.
Sir.
So, series of problems, issues have been raised for discussion. I will, as there are many distinguished speakers, I will briefly say the multiplicity of law is, I don't think it is a real problem. But multiplicity of authorities stated in the laws is creating some problem. For example, the district collector of a concerned district is in charge of the authority prescribed in the various laws. Where do we get time to deal with the various problems? That is a real issue. Otherwise, when the society is developing, our values are changing, then there should be more and more laws on various subjects. We cannot afford how we sit quiet and how the archaic laws are. So the law should change. And when the notions are changing, the societal values are changing, then naturally we should have more and more laws because all these the subject present while presenting also was said about Nirbhaya's case.
Sir.
The post-Nirbhaya laws were referred to. That was not the stalking. All these were not there in our the laws. But
Sir.
it was made, and it has made some improvement. So multiplicity is not a problem, but archaic laws, there should be, I would suggest there should be one efficient committee consists of the top professors or jurists to weed out our proper amendments to the laws. That is the only suggestion I can make.
Sir.
So let the other speakers speak on the various other important subjects. Thank you.
Sir, Justice Ravindran is also with us, sir, and very congratulations for your book, sir. But everybody is curious to know that what inspired you to write your book on anomalies of law. Does the issues raised the book reflect your personal concern as well? Definitely it should be. Regarding inherent challenges of judiciary?
See, it is well recognized that a power of the judiciary does not lie in deciding cases.
Sir.
It is not in imposing sentences. It is not in punishing for contempt. It is the public confidence that is relevant.
Sir.
Now, how does public confidence can be built? That is the credibility issue. In that connection, I have been giving lectures in various judicial academies and interacting with judges. And those lectures had published as articles. My humble is that so long as the judiciary is able to maintain its credibility,
Sir.
democracy will survive and success. If the judiciary loses credibility, the survival of democracy itself is difficult. Therefore, I thought as a humble offering to the judiciary, let me collect all my articles and publish them as a book. That's how you see this took shape, and I am sure that the judiciary in a position stand up and face its challenges and serve the society the best of possible manner.
Sir, Justice Sudarshan Reddy, here is a question. If we want to change something in judiciary, the first thing will come. What is the process of removing or rationalizing of laws? ये सबसे बड़ा सवाल है सर कि कैसे होगा. Apart from Parliament, does the Law Commission also plays a part in it? Does law removal leads to legal vacuum? What do you think, sir? What will be the best option which we have?
Good evening, ma'am. You are able to hear me?
Sir, I am.
Good evening, Chief Justice, and good evening, Brother Justice Ravindran, and good evening, Vice Chancellor Surya Prakash Rao. Madam, thank you for your invitation and giving me this opportunity to participate in this discussion.
Thank you so much, sir. Pleasure is ours.
Let me take this opportunity to congratulate my esteemed brother, Justice Ravindran, for bringing out this wonderful work.
Sir.
I will only recall what a former Chief Justice of India, Justice R.P. Lahoti, said. This book is not for mere reading. It is to be studied. So I have made some attempt to study the book, and most of the answers to the question which you have asked, you find in the book itself.
Sir.
The most important aspect which I wanted to mention, the question and the question posed at me is required to be appreciated, understood in the context of what the other Justice Ravindran stated in part 4 of the book. That is the best part of the book. That is the parliamentary democracy and what is required to be done.
Sir.
To answer specifically to your question, it is the constitutional duty and the obligation of the parliament and the state legislature to amend, modify, rationalize, repeal the law. Lawmaking essentially is the function of legislature.
Sir.
Law commissions, be it the level of the state or the central, their role is only recommendatory in nature. Jurists, yes, they may express their opinion, yet it remains to be an opinion. And law-making bodies have forgotten their essential constitutional obligation of lawmaking and busy in politicking and wasting their time in unnecessary discussions and more interest to force Justice Ravindran in disrupting the proceedings of the House as part of their political or other agendas.
Sir.
Therefore, it is an essential function of the legislature. Of course, now and then vague and indefinite arbitrary legislations are struck down by the Constitutional Court. But there is no substitute for the lawmaking bodies to intervene and rationalize the law.
Sir.
That's my opinion.
Sir, exactly. It's a very important opinion for us, sir, and for, whoever wants to see an ideal judicial system. It's a very important opinion for them. Professor Rao, definitely if you'll go through with the Justice Ravindran's book, it's like a lighthouse for whoever wants to change in the judicial system. But my question is this to you, sir. Criminal justice system also need, a large number of corrections. क्या लगता है सर, आफ्टर निर्भया केस यदि हम देखें तो ऐसा लगा जैसे क्रिमिनल जस्टिस सिस्टम में ब्लॉकेज है जगह जगह. डू यू थिंक सर कि इसको सबसे पहले करेक्ट करने की ज़रूरत है? बिकॉज व्हाट वी फील एज अ कॉमन मैन और कॉमन सिटीजन ऑफ द इंडिया, व्हाट वी फील कि क्रिमिनल जस्टिस सिस्टम सबसे ज़्यादा आम लोगों के को छूता है और आम लोगों के लिए ज़रूरी होता है. डू यू थिंक सर, definitely Justice Ravindran has touched that thing also, but what is your opinion about it?
Okay, thank you, Rajshri. Sir, good evening. Justice Balakrishnan ji, Justice Ravindran ji, and Justice Sudarshan Reddy ji. I'm very glad to join this evening along with the legal human race and honorable judges. Yeah, Rajshri, you are right that criminal justice system or criminalize the window to administration of justice. The common man perceives the rule of law, the justice, only when he look at the courts, particularly delivering the criminal justice. So, in my considered opinion, the problem, we have this Indian Penal Code came into existence in 1860, and the first law commission 1834 onwards, under Lord Macaulay and all this stuff. And we have been following the same Indian Penal Code from 1861 till today. Whereas the Criminal Procedure Code is concerned, so we have the same others, that is when the First Law Commission and the other members, the Second Law Commission. I'm speaking about the East India Company times. Those people who have brought this IPC and CRPC, they had a vision in the sense that they had a planning for the administration of criminal justice. For this administration of criminal justice, one set is IPC, the other one is CRPC. And of course, Evidence Act is there.
Exactly.
And this CRPC is compatible to the IPC.
Sir.
So, what is happening today, we are continuing with the same IPC and we changed it. In the year 1861, there was a CRPC and again it changed in 1898 and ultimately we replaced the entire CRPC with 1973 code.
Sir.
Okay. And here I feel that this present CRPC, so now you look at the cases of Nirbhaya case or Salman Khan's case or Italian Mariner's case.
Sir.
So all this, there is some procedural defects in our criminal procedure system. So earlier, for example, we have this system of jury system. And whereas the Britain, USA, still they are following the jury system. And our IPC is meant for jury system.
Sir.
And we have removed the jury system. And I consider that somewhere there is a mismatch between our IPC and CRPC. So the taking advantage of these loopholes. So you see how it took 20 years for Salman Khan's case. And similarly, at last the accused Salman Khan, he was acquitted by the court. And a witness, a defense witness, there was only one witness, Mr. Ashok Singh, who was dropped in the proceedings after 10 years.
Sir.
After 10 years, a person who voluntarily came and said that it is not Salman Khan, it's me who is driving the car.
Sir.
And in spite of that, the Sessions Judge has convicted him, but whereas the Honorable High Court
Ji.
Justice, he has acquitted the Salman Khan.
Sir.
So this has created, that means a person who was nowhere in the proceedings, 10 years after the incident, he came and joined as a defense witness, and on the basis of one single defense witness, the accused was acquitted.
Sir.
And the court has believed it. And more or less, similar incident happened on 29th July in Hyderabad. This is also rash and negligent driving, drunk and drive driving, and he belongs to a rich family. And the family driver, he dropped the police station next day saying that it is not he, it is me who has committed I was driving.
Sir.
But the police has promptly rejected.
Yes,
We
that
know
is
that you are
that
not.
is the problem, sir. Justice Ravindran, I would invite you to comment on this issue. When we see that rich and powerful people, it's a general perception, sir. Rich and powerful people can get justice easily, or maybe they can manipulate the system, but the common man can't. They are helpless. Sir, do you think that this is the biggest loophole of our judicial system, sir? And how to rectify it?
Inherent in the system, persons with money will be able to, engage better lawyers,
Sir.
fight their cases better, and certainly because their cases are put forward in a better manner, they have a chance of succeeding. Whereas poorer sections who do not have the assistance of the best of lawyers are not able to present their cases. Therefore, what the system has done is, it has provided appeals, it has provided for further appeal, it has provided for review, it has even provided Supreme Court, you see, for various remedies. The idea is this, curative petition. We should not look at it only from the point of cases where you see the accused has committed a heinous crime. We should also look at it from the point of view of innocent person who get convicted in the courts. Therefore, certain appeal and further appeal and even review petitions are absolutely necessary. What should be done is, court should be vigilant and they should decide the cases quickly. And in cases where the rich and versus the poor is concerned, or cases of rich come, the court should be vigilant enough to see that they are not carried away by the false evidence that we put. And in the case of if the case of a poorer person comes, court should be vigilant to remember that he is not in a position to present his case properly and ensure that justice.
का इंडिया लीगल में हमने समझने की कोशिश की कि अभी तक जो हमारी न्यायिक प्रक्रिया है, न्यायिक व्यवस्था है, उसमें कमियां कहां पर हैं और उन कमियों को दूर करने के लिए उपाय क्या होने चाहिए। लेकिन देखा जाए तो कमियां इतनी सारी हैं कि उसको एक एक करके गिनवाना बहुत मुश्किल है। लेकिन हाँ, उम्मीद ख़त्म नहीं हुई है। जैसा कि जस्टिस रविंद्रन ने भी अपनी किताब में एनोमलीज ऑफ लॉ, जो किताब उन्होंने लिखी है, जिसमें उनके कई आर्टिकल्स हैं, उनका एक संग्रह भी है और उसमें न केवल जुडिशल सिस्टम की कमियों की बात की गई है बल्कि उन्हें दूर करने के उपाय भी सुझाए गए हैं। उस आधार पर भी हम देखें तो ऐसा लगता है कि उम्मीदें तो अभी भी हैं, लेकिन आखिर उन उम्मीदों के मद्देनज़र हमें क्या कुछ करने की ज़रूरत है, ये बड़ा सवाल है। हमारे साथ हमारा वरिष्ठ पैनल मौजूद है। हमारे साथ जस्टिस के जी बालाकृष्णन, जस्टिस रविंद्रन और जस्टिस सुदर्शन रेड्डी और प्रोफेसर सूर्य प्रकाश राव मौजूद हैं। जस्टिस बालाकृष्णन, आई विल कम टू यू सर। There is another problem which we are seeing when similar cases go before different benches or judges. It may give rise different decisions. Sentences can vary, fines and compensation amount can vary. Though this is a subjective area, but how should this anomaly be tackled? Because in recent time we have seen there are same cases heard by different benches on the same ground. Your opinion, sir?
It's a very difficult problem.
Yes, sir.
Because there is always a personal conviction for any judge. Personal prejudices. Judges are brought up in different circumstances. There are personal convictions. All have their own pressure and pull. That is how the judicial process, Benjamin Cardoso said, that pressure and pull, that is how the final decision-making process.
Sir.
So, some may have different ideas, some may have personal prejudices, some may have personal philosophies, all may, in the ultimate process of decision-making, will come into play. So, that is why the different, some I can quote, there are several instances, some of the judges are not happy to impose death penalty.
Sir.
Even in cases where that is the punishment that is to be imposed. So there are so many such varies. It presents the sentence also varies. But it is judges are given discretion, penalty and also sentence from 7 years to 10 years, 2 years to 6 years, and all these sentences given. But an experienced judge should know what is the sentence to be imposed. That is, Lord Templeman said, if a judge within 2 years of his service, if he is not able to make out a policy of sentencing, then he is not a fit judge. That is what he said. Because by dealing with the various cases, he must decide what sort of sentence he should impose, what sort of punishment he should impose within the discretionary relief that could be granted under law. Then various issues may come to the court. Different judges may have different perceptions about one matter or other. But luckily the judges sit in the division or constitutional bench sit in 5 judges. So all the judges put their ideas together and the decision is done. So it is not a very serious issue as we think. Sometimes we say that some judges are pro-landlord, some judges are pro-tenant, some judges are co-article, some judges are liberal,
Sir,
relief granting. These are all only in slight
बिल्कुल
variation. I
Sir.
do not think that is a major issue to be talked
सर
over
लेकिन
or
सर
decided.
लेकिन हाल फिलहाल में सर पूरी लड़ाई इसी के लिए हुई, किसके बेंच में कितनी देर कौन सा केस रहा। जैसे सुदर्शन रेड्डी, हमने देयर इज अनदर प्रॉब्लम सर, का आमतौर पे कहा जाता है कि एक जज के पास इतना वक्त नहीं होता कि वो पूरे केस को सुन पाए, और इसलिए ये भी मांग उठाई जा रही है और ज़रूरत समझी जा रही है कि क्या द एज ऑफ जजेज शुड इंक्रीज, और हाई कोर्ट के लेवल पे या सुप्रीम कोर्ट के लेवल पे। क्या डू यू थिंक सर दैट दिस विल हेल्प अस इन रिगार्डिंग दिस प्रॉब्लम, जो जुडिशियल सिस्टम में प्रॉब्लम्स हैं उसको दूर करने में अगर एज बढ़ा दी जाए जजेज की तो बहुत हेल्प हो सकती है?
No, I really do not know whether any scientific study has been made on this aspect of the matter. That mere prolonging the tenure of the judge would yield better results. That I do not know. But having regard to, the present condition, health and the experience of the judges must be used instead of asking them to lay down the office at the age of 65. It can be raised up to 70 years, but it should be applicable to all the constitutional courts, including the high courts and Supreme Court.
Sir, okay.
That experience would certainly come to
Sir,
and may yield better.
बिल्कुल, जब
But there is no.
जी सर go ahead sir.
That's all.
Okay sir. Justice Ravindran, there is another problem sir. The big problem is this, as a media person, which we really we can feel it, the power of political parties, how they treat us, treat us means the judicial system, that is really questionable. Law also reflects the philosophy of political party in power sometimes. CAA, abolishment of Article 317, love jihad laws, population laws are the few examples. So what do you think sir, what role judiciary and law commission should play in fine tuning in such laws as new political powers come with different philosophies?
You see, democracy is where people of the country give power to different political parties with different political philosophy. Therefore, in a democracy, you can expect that when a particular political party comes to power, they will implement laws or they will enact laws which suit their political philosophy and ideology. And when some other party comes to power, they will also do.
Sir.
But as far as the courts are concerned, the courts not deal with the wisdom of the enactment. They do not deal with the question whether they are sensible. They are dealing with the question whether they are constitutional. If the constitutionality of enactment can be verified, can be examined by not the wisdom behind the enactment. Therefore, it is of course difficult, but everyone should realize courts also have their limitations and restrictions. They cannot say, I don't like this enactment, I don't like this principle, therefore I will strike down the law. That is not possible. They should bring it within constitutional violation. There is a reason, constitutional reason for saying a judgment, a law. If it is not available, you cannot, merely because a law you think is bad, you cannot interfere with it. That is the choice of the people. People today have elected somebody, they will make law according to their philosophy. Tomorrow they will elect somebody else and they will make law according to their philosophy. In a democracy, we should learn to live.
No, sir, but recently Justice Chandrachud said that states should not misuse anti-terror law to crush dissent. Is this also an anomaly of law which should be corrected, or how can judiciary play a constructive role in this regard? Lower judiciaries have also taken a stand about it. What do you think, sir? I mean, here is, don't you think that here is a very important role which judiciary has to play? Justice Ravindran, this is your question for you, sir.
I'm sorry, I did not hear the question. Please, can you repeat it?
Yes, I mean, sir, recently Justice Chanchud has said that states should not misuse anti-terror laws to crush the dissent. Is this also an anomaly of law which should be corrected?
Yes, you see, in my book, I have stated that provision regarding sedition that should go. See, the law of the legal provision that was introduced by the British to thwart the independence movement and the local agitation cannot be used now. But at the same time, it does not mean that there cannot be a law. There can be a law, but cannot use that draconian law for challenging or ensuring or for throttling dissent in a democracy. This is the position.
Justice Sudarshan Reddy, I mean, the Corona times has changed the legal system. I mean, heads to toe. But in what do you think, sir? How much we should be hopeful as the courts have embraced online hearing, but there is digital divide. Small town courts and lawyers are without internet or IT facilities, I mean, they are not available for online hearings. How to handle this aspect of justice delivery system, which is greatest anomaly in our country?
The problem is really serious, very serious problem. This digital division which we are facing in this country is not something peculiar to us. Even the advanced countries like the United States are facing this problem. I'm sure you are aware.
Sir.
And my Lord the Chief Justice and Brother Justice Ravindran and the Vice Chancellor are also aware. In cities like Washington and New York, 12% of the students, particularly coming from the deprived sections, that is the black population, black citizens, do not have to high-speed internet. Consequently, they lost their academic year. See, it's a very serious problem which the whole world is facing. And this digital division, rather discrimination, has resulted in titanic shift in power sharing, leading to further divisions in society. This is a very serious problem. I think all of you are aware. 3 instances have taken place on 9th August 2011, 3 events. Of course, separated by thousands of miles. They indicate the prospects and gathering dangers of our emerging information civilization. First, Silicon Valley pioneer Apple promised a digital dream of new solutions to old economic and social problems. And finally emerged as the world's highly capitalized corporation. Second, a fatal police shooting in London sparked extensive rioting across the city, engulfing the country in a wave of violent protest.
Sir.
Kindly remember, more than a decade of explosive digital growth had failed to mitigate the punishing austerity of neoliberal economics and extreme inequality that exists. But you are asking now, what is to be done so far as the judiciary is concerned?
Sir.
I would urge all the concerned, including the Chief Justice of India and his companion judges, to go back to the physical court
Hmm.
to the extent possible by duly taking all COVID precautions.
Yes. Sir.
And even at the time of unveiling of this book,
Hmm.
none other than the Chief Justice of India himself mentioned that this digital divide is going to prove very dangerous to the very institution of democracy.
बिल्कुल सर.
A large section of the litigants, lawyers, and others who are involved in the process of litigation or decision making are likely to be deprived of a very valuable right.
Definitely, sir. After hearing your this comment, I must say that lots of advocates are going to be very happy because they are demanding to start the physical courts. Professor Surprakash Rao, I'll come to you, sir. केवल फिजिकल हियरिंग की बात नहीं हो रही सर, लाइक लोक अदालत जो है वो बहुत जस्टिस डिलीवरी सिस्टम में बहुत ही बड़ी भूमिका निभाती हैं. नालसा बहुत बड़े अच्छे से काम कर रही थी, बहुत अच्छे तरीके से, बट डेफिनेटली इन दिस कोरोना टाइम ये भी बहुत प्रभावित हुआ है. जो लोग जिनको ज़रूरत है नालसा की मदद की, उन तक भी बहुत अच्छे से मदद नहीं पहुंच पाई है. और भी बहुत कुछ करने की इसमें ज़रूरत है, लेकिन यहाँ पर भी द सेम प्रॉब्लम इज़ दिस सर, इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर एंड मैन पावर. हाउ वी शुड हैंडल दिस?
You are absolutely right. And this Lok Adalat, whether it is a permanent Lok Adalat or temporary Lok Adalat, they are doing wonderful job. They are doing wonderful job. But this was badly hit by this corona. And again, the problem comes, the digital disparity. And most of the cases in Lok Adalat, in the Municipal courts, in the subordinate courts, the clients, they are drawn from the villages,
Sir.
the common man. So they are not well equipped with this technology. And even the Municipal lawyers, they are also not well equipped with this internet facilities and all these things. They are not available. There is very much inequality, technical inequality or disparity from the urban and the rural, from the High Court and Supreme Court and in the subordinate court. The only way out, all of a sudden, we cannot increase the number of courts or we cannot give laptops or systems to all the village clients. I think that now it is receding, the wave is receding, and the advocates, they may start physical appearance before the courts, and people are anxiously awaiting. Meanwhile, the advocates, they may train or they may do the necessary counseling to their clients. They may make them well prepared for settlement of their disputes in the Lok Adalat.
Sir.
So this time could be utilized for training the clients or for counseling the clients. And simultaneously, the advocates, they are also required some training because settlement of the dispute is different from adjudication. So a little bit of training is necessary even for the advocates to go for settlement through mediation or through negotiation. I think that in the present times, the law as far as this Lok Adalat, the Legal Service Authorities Act is good, the structure of Lok Adalat is good, but the only problem is the pandemic nowadays. And once it is over, the Lok Adalat will come into full swing, and
Sir.
definitely they are playing a supplementary role
Sir.
in the justice delivery system.
Okay, ji.
Okay.
Justice Balakrishnan, here is another problem, sir. When PIL is such a wonderful power which has given to us, but the misuse of the PIL is also becoming a regular fashion. So, what do you think, sir? How we can stop this kind of practice?
PIL is a very, very important area in our jurisprudence. We have got wonderful decisions on the basis of PIL litigation.
Sir.
Because you see, Delhi at one point of time was full of industries, creating complete pollution in this city. All these industries were removed from the city of Delhi by virtue of an order passed by the Supreme Court. You will see the CNG, the buses, all old buses, lorries and all flying through the streets of Delhi, creating huge pollution. Then the CNG was imposed. Not the 15-year-old vehicle should not enter the Delhi. All it was instead of the by virtue of the decision of the PIL. And the midday meal, which gives food to hundreds of thousands of children who encourage them to come to school. That was also by virtue of a PIL order.
Sir.
The forestation, all the states, complete deforestation was going on, and it was in the PIL that they said that the forest shall not be used for non-forest purpose.
Yes, sir.
So we wrote all these wonderful decisions under the PIL, and I must say, Indian courts are the highest courts are respected world over because of this excellent jurisdiction.
Is
The
the
area
main
of
problem,
executive,
sir.
eh?
Sir. Go ahead, sir.
They entered the area of executive and interfere with the policy making policy making of the state, and that too created huge burden sometimes to the state.
Sir.
So the judges must be extremely careful, and they should show the highest the policy, the highest temperament, and they should have all the statesmanship, not only the judicial power or the knowledge in law, but they should know how to give an appropriate decision on the subject. If that is there, the PIL jurisdiction is good, and we judges also should not encourage the people to file this order. This jurisdiction was, I will only take one more way. This jurisdiction was invented in a situation where the large number of people of this country was unable to approach the court to enforce their rights. That is why this jurisdiction was. You know the early history of the PIL. So that is very important. That should be.
But we need to. We need to use it properly and proper manner. Definitely, sir. Justice Ravindran, final word from you, sir. As you have written this book, and this whole show is about this issue only, which is based on your book only. So, what do you think, sir? If we want to change this system, ADR, mediation, arbitration process can be helpful, and how it can be helpful, and what will be your final word if we want to take the final crux of this whole discussion, where we have to work very fast and very soon.
See, judiciary can deliver only to a limited extent, unless the other wing of the government deliver. That is the executive and legislature also. Legislature by making effective laws and the executive by effectively implementing the laws, the country cannot progress. And the stakeholders, other stakeholders, the media has got a tremendous role, a very powerful role. See, it should be very responsible. Reporting should be responsible. Paid news should be avoided. Media trials should be avoided. So that you see, judiciary can also function properly. Imagine the pressure and stress on a judge, a subordinate judge. The media starts conducting the trial and starts hoping that a person is guilty or not guilty. It's very difficult. Therefore, media also should trust. The people of the country should. Therefore, it is a joint effort. It is sometimes, for example, when investigation is bad, when the prosecution is bad, and a accused is acquitted, the blame is put on the judiciary. Judiciary cannot be blamed. Can act only on the relevant legal evidence. Now, therefore, unless other things also function effectively and coordinate and cooperate with the judiciary, judiciary cannot by itself function. And judiciary also requires assistance of the bar, the cooperation of the bar. Without the cooperation of the bar, judges cannot do anything. And the litigants, they should also be responsible. See, for everything, for small things, you cannot come to court. There is the alternate resolution processor. You should, wherever a matter can be settled, you should settle it. And only in case where, it's inevitable, it go to court. What is happening in America, you see, 85 to 90% of the cases are settled pre-trial. Only 10% of the cases go to trial. In all developed countries, that is the position. In India, 80 to 90% of the cases are going to trial. Therefore, there is an enormous burden on the judiciary. Therefore, there should be cooperation. There should be, cooperation not only from the prosecution and the investigating wing as far as criminal cases, as far as civil cases are concerned, from the litigants themselves in realizing alternative dispute resolution be applied. If everyone
जाहिर सी बात है
stakeholder
Yes.
does this, we can really.
सर डेफिनेटली सर, जाहिर सी बात है सर कि ये सभी कुछ एक कड़ी से हमें जोड़ना पड़ेगा, और चाहे वो जुडिशरी हो, मीडिया हो, लेजिस्लेटिव हो या ब्यूरोक्रेसी हो, या जुडिशरी के अंदर ही चाहे वो बार हो, बेंच हो, लिटिगेंट हो, कि यूटोपिया नहीं है जिसको हम बस सपना देख रहे हैं कि हम ऐसा सुधार लेंगे, और सुधर नहीं सकता। अगर हम ठान लें तो मुश्किल कुछ भी नहीं है। बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया आप सबों का, वेरी वेरी थैंकफुल टू यू ऑल मेरे साथ इस कार्यक्रम में हिस्सा लेने के लिए, और इस तमाम पैनल से जो सभी ऐसे थे जो इस पूरे विषय के गहरे जानकार थे। ये स्पष्ट ज़रूर हुआ कि हमारे न्यायिक व्यवस्था में समस्याएं तो हैं, पर उन समस्याओं का निदान भी है, समाधान भी है। ज़रूरी ये है कि उस पर सही तरीके से काम किया जाए, उस पर सोचा जाए, सच्चे मन से उसके साथ लगा जाए, तो हमारी न्यायिक व्यवस्था जो आज तक हमारे लिए गर्व का विषय रही है, आने वाले दिनों में आदर्श व्यवस्था भी कही जाएगी। इसी उम्मीद के साथ कि हमारी न्यायिक प्रक्रिया में, हमारी न्यायिक व्यवस्था में ये आदर्श स्थिति बहुत जल्द देखने को मिलेगी। आप अपना ख्याल रखिए, और मैं आपसे लूँगी विदा। अगले हफ्ते फिर हाजिर होंगी एक अन्य विषय के साथ। तब तक बने रहिए हमारे साथ। नमस्कार।